It's a poison. That doesn't help the stress level. No, don't do it. Get a grip. This stupid video I just showed you. I almost stroked out and died over it. You're watching a different show. You donkey. You ain't a captain of nothing but a sinking ship. Don't do this to me, Harry. The Ohio State. It's Ohio State. What do you mean, the? 312-988-15.
Hello?
You tell Johnny all you've heard and seen. Sometimes it's good to just yell about football. Yeah, that's right. That's right. Welcome in. Welcome back, folks. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. I'm telling you, I have thoroughly enjoyed this off week. Like, I mean it. I have thoroughly enjoyed the off week. And it isn't just, follow me here. It isn't just the fact that Notre Dame had a week off for you to unwind and kind of relax without the stress of another game, another week, the whole cycle, right? It's not only the little break, but it's also that it means you were able to really lean into the USC win for a little longer than you normally would, right? Like usually you have the weekend, a couple days to feel good about the win, and then you're on to worrying about the next game, right? So not only did it give you more time to soak in and enjoy the USC victory, but also in the lack of the Notre Dame immediacy of another game, it's given, I don't know about you guys, but it's given me a little more time to look around the country and consume some other college football media. There are a lot of different fan bases and contingents that are in a very, very rough, dark spot. And what I want to get into today is the likelihood of Notre Dame at 10-2 making the playoff automatically. When I say automatically, I mean no matter what happens with all the other games and all the other teams, if Notre Dame's at 10-2, they're in automatically. I want to get into that. And I see arguments on both sides of this. And I think that's a perfect thing to do on a Friday bye week is discuss kind of that scenario while understanding and having the maturity to know if Notre Dame slips up another time, they're out. So like any of this is Notre Dame in at 10-2 or whatever. Like you're building in knowing you can't take anything lightly. And if Notre Dame has a misstep, they're out. Like everybody knows that. But I feel an obligation and a responsibility to bring it up and not act like 10-2 is in the bag. But I want to get into that about that 10-2 Notre Dame. Is it a guarantee or do you need certain dominoes to fall? There's interesting dynamics with Miami and A&M that I think could really muck this up and mess this up for Notre Dame. I could be wrong. I'm not smart enough. I'm not smart enough to be able to look at all the teams between where Notre Dame is and the top, and then look at all their schedules and figure it all out of who's going to get 2 losses and drop below Notre Dame and who's going to end up with 3 losses, in the SEC and the Big Ten beat each other up in November, and all these different things overlap and connect. I ain't smart enough to figure it out. I ain't that smart to figure it out. Somebody's got to look at all these schedules, somebody with a big brain, bigger than mine, and be able to tell me, here's based on what's on the schedule, who's going to knock each other out for enough losses we move on. I don't know. I ain't smart enough to do the math, bro. So I need somebody smart to do it. I need somebody smart to figure that part out. So I want to get into that 10-2 discussion because I've seen people all over the board on it. And I honestly don't know what the reality is. So I want to go over some of this stuff. No reason to stress about the rankings until Tuesday when the committee does their first thing. Yeah, but I got some questions about how this is going to shape out. And I know some of you are schedule nicks and you do a really good job looking at all this stuff and whatever. Adam says 1 game at a time. Give me a break, man. It's the bye. You got to stretch your legs a little bit. If there was ever a moment you could zoom out and look at a little bit of a bigger picture, this would be it during the off week. Dr. John, it's good to see you, buddy. People were asking about you at the tailgate. The USC one was a big one. I know that rivalry means the world to you. Just know people were asking about you, man. Everybody wants to make sure you're good to go. You were there in spirit. And so that's some of what I want to get into. But I'm telling you, I'm being honest about this. I can't remember the last time there was this much really interesting national college football drama and stuff going on. You guys tell me if I see you guys waiting. Jay Carr, Brendan, you're going to be the first two up. Jay Carr, your mic says you muted yourself. You're going to have to unmute yourself. Come on. There's so much going on around the country that's atypical right now with all of this coaching stuff. I find it really interesting. So I want to get into some of that stuff, but the 10-2 thing, and I also want to look at some of these games coming up this weekend from the Notre Dame angle, what you want to happen, what you're watching. I know I'm muted. I'm experienced in Zoom. I'm the least technological one here. I'm figuring it out, bro. Chat GPT, teach me, right? So let's get into this. As always, you can find the program on YouTube. Do it, subscribe if you haven't yet. Andrew, we'll get to that. Oh, we'll get to that. BK coaching in arguably the biggest game of his career Saturday against A&M. I have a lot of thoughts about that, as you all would expect, across the board. And it's very, very interesting. So as always, hit subscribe, give the video a thumbs up, notifications on so you don't miss nothing. Twitter, search bar, always Irish, always Irishing. Emails, always irishnd@gmail.com. Audio only, anywhere you want it, you can get it. If you don't want to start a Friday morning looking at my face, nobody blames you. Do the audio only. Do the audio only. The call-ins is a zoom in or whatever you want to call it. Use the link in the description. I pinned the link to the top of the chat. I can't see it from my end, but I believe it's there. We'll do this. There. I just posted the link again. If you want to join, do the audio access, allow your audio or whatever they tell you to do. You'll be backstage. You can see everything. I'll bring you up. It's basically the same thing as being on hold on the call-in line. And I welcome your opinions. And so Notre Dame on SI, you could read all about it. Got an article. I don't know when it's going to go live, but I wrote an article yesterday about the Notre Dame interest in LSU, Texas A&M, how some of it is practical. Some of the intrigue here with the Notre Dame fans about this ballgame, some of it is very practical about the two teams you lost to and what you want them to do. This sounds so loserish. I don't even want to say it. But how you're going to get credit for a good loss. Like, you would like to think Notre Dame is past that. But here we are, and I'm looking at how much run we could get off good losses. Miami themselves. You know, you never catch Miami down when Notre Dame's playing them. They play anybody else. There's 14 people in the stands, and that Miami doesn't care, and they make a bunch of mistakes. It's just, you're never going to get that. So they already blew a part of the equation. Then you want A&M to do as good as possible. So my article was about, there were two different sections. One of them was about the practical implications of wanting A&M, like, to keep being undefeated or whatever. And the other one is on a very, very personal level on the LSU side. And the ongoing 4-year battle between the LSU fans and media and the Notre Dame fans and media about the reality of Brian Kelly. And for 4 years, we have been told we didn't know football. We're small time. We don't understand. Notre Dame was the problem. All Kelly had to do was get out of Notre Dame and everything would be fine because little old Notre Dame isn't LSU and the SEC. I've been fighting that battle with these fans and media for 4 years. And now they're coming around. And as they come around to seeing things the way we did, They're saying all the same things we were. And if they get this third loss, you better believe my troll game is going to be off the charts. Miss me with, John, we have 2 losses. Who are we to troll? No. Forget that. If they get knocked out of playoff consideration, especially tomorrow night or against Alabama, I'm doing the old troll thing. And I'm going to enjoy it with a smile on my face. So, very fun article to write about the 2 different ways we're, as the Notre Dame contingent, looking at that ball game, as far as what A&M's going to do, and then as far as the repercussions for LSU if they don't win this one. But we'll get into that game. Interesting. For all the Kelly stuff, 11-11 on the road in the SEC at LSU, 11-11 in road games since being at LSU. That don't get it done. Interesting. Night game at LSU, one of the toughest places to go as a visiting team and win historically, even with Kelly. I think he's only lost 2 there since being at LSU at night at home. Bad weather. That is the other factor here. All the LSU stuff I'm seeing is talking about prepare to just be in a downpour. What do they got? Is it a hurricane system coming up off the water or what? I'm in Illinois. I don't know. Talking about expect sloppy, wet conditions and whatever. I don't know what that's going to do. But this is a really, really interesting dynamic. And it's a full circle moment to see the LSU fans and media in the spot they're in right now. And I'm not going crazy with this till that third loss hits. So hopefully it's A&M and it boosts Notre Dame a little bit. I guess that they stay undefeated. We'll see. But it's going to be really interesting. Really interesting. And there's a lot of pressure, man. The locals, here's the thing. I've always said this. LSU is very unique. I never, until this Kelly thing, I used to like LSU. Like, I didn't mind. I didn't hate them. It wasn't like Alabama or USC or Michigan or Miami. Because I like unique college football culture. I like unique college football culture, and LSU is one of the places that truly has a very unique standalone culture down there in the bayou and the whole thing. And I always liked it. I always thought it was cool. A totally rabid football fan base with their own vibe and the whole bayou way of life. Like the whole thing, I liked it. I always thought it was awesome for college football. And I never really had a problem with LSU at all. And then the Brian Kelly thing happened. And I still don't have a problem with LSU culture and how cool all that is. I have a real problem with their media and their fans. And I have a real problem with them being so sure they stole our man. And this is what the big team does to the little guy. We see what we want and we take it. And Kelly's, all he need to do is get away from the shackles of Notre Dame that's held him down. And he's going to be an elite winner. And John, you don't know what you're talking about. That you said you were happy Kelly left and it was the best thing that could happen for the future of Notre Dame in the modern era. You're an idiot in your basement. You don't know what you're talking about. We know football because we're the SEC. If they're proven wrong tomorrow night and it's the third loss and Kelly's out, I have some things planned. Big things. So, whatever. Or maybe LSU and Brian Kelly pull it out. Like their backs against, it would be a very good spot for a team that's got their backs against the wall. All this fire and drama, negativity, the media, the fans, they're all losing their minds, whatever. Backs against the wall. Maybe that's one Kelly pulls out. I still don't think you're going to beat Alabama on the road next. But maybe for another week, you could save that and then find some momentum, and that gives you a shot against Alabama. I don't know. But the interesting thing is LSU has struggled to run the football, and they have O-line problems. If it's a pouring rain situation, I don't know. How does that go? Your quarterback's not a running guy. The offensive line is injured and not playing well. It's going to be hard to run the ball. So I don't know. I don't know. So it's whatever. Andrew, I kind of get it, but I kind of push back at the same time. Some of this is fair. Tell the full story. I think Kelly leaving was a wake-up call for ND. Look at how much the ND admin has liberalized for Freeman. That was a direct response to Kelly leaving. Here's the part we don't know, Andrew. How much of this is stuff they just didn't want to get done because it was Kelly? Like, I can't tell you how many people I know that are in power positions at Notre Dame that just had no interest in helping Kelly at all. And if that meant the team lost a couple games, they were willing to deal with it, to not work with Kelly, to not give Kelly what he wanted, and to help Kelly out. So that's the part that I don't know. There's no doubt Notre Dame's got much more serious about NIL and paying guys and how they're growing everything modern and everything. There's no doubt in these 4 years that has really upticked a lot. But what I don't know is how much of that is stuff they could have done for Kelly or would have moved on quicker if he just didn't treat people the way he did. I don't know that answer. But I know a lot of people in power positions that were not working with Kelly towards the end. You don't have to believe me. You don't have to believe me. You could just say, John, you're in your basement. Who do you know? What do you know? I know that one summer I went with Jack Sacco to all the different offices of the people he knows that work in the Golden Dome. And we had some one-on-one discussions with those people about Kelly leaving and Freeman coming and some of the differences. You don't have to believe me. It's totally fine. And I get that all the time. John, you're in your basement. You don't know anybody. You don't know who I know. And you don't know who I know and who they know. Jack and I spent a lot of time meeting with power players that have permanent offices in that Golden Dome. And we learned a lot of stuff. And so, whatever, man. I get what Andrew's saying. They modernized a lot. Some of this was, we're not helping Kelly out because he's not treating us right. If we lose games, I'm willing to deal with that because we're just not going to help this guy that is treating everybody like garbage. So I don't know. John, new people across the board, president, AD, head coach. That's true. You do have all those things, but a lot of those rocks that are there long-term, that make the knobs turn there, a lot of those people have been there a long time, seen a lot of coaches coming and going, like a lot of different stuff. So I don't know what you think about it. But I will say this about and Jay Carr, Brendan, you guys coming up. Anybody else that wants to jump in, feel for the 10-2 Notre Dame thing, any games you're looking forward to, whatever. I will say this. I do have appreciation for Kelly building Notre Dame up to a certain point. Like, you've got to give the guy credit for that. The program he inherited was in a bad, dark spot, way behind the times. Notre Dame was way behind the times in every single aspect when he took over. And a lot of that work is behind the scenes. Behind the scenes. Andrew. Let me try and answer this. Anyways, behind the scenes, Kelly did a lot of that work you don't get credit for because it isn't front and center. It is a lot of dirty work behind the scenes to beg to get things done and get the people that pull the levers to understand why you need things to get it to a modern place. Spend some money, hire some more people. The training table, the nutrition thing, the physical therapy, the training stuff, a lot of things Kelly had to get up to a certain area. And he deserves credit for that. He does. It just got stale at the end, and you can't treat people the way he did. I always see people writing how badly Kelly treated people. I agree, he treated the press poorly, but what evidence did he treat employees poorly? Employees telling me he treated them poorly. How's that for an answer? How's that for an answer? People that had to work with him regularly that were very, very turned off by the personality. There's the answer I got for you. People that work in the administration telling me that. There you go. And again, you don't have to believe me. You could think I just have a hard on for Kelly and I'm going to frame anything anyway. Even the people that wanted to be diplomatic, when it came up gently, what are the differences between Kelly leaving and now Freeman's here and whatever, or like, how's it going or whatever? The people that wanted to be diplomatic just said, we're very, very thankful and happy we're in the situation we're in now. Wink, wink. Like the people that didn't feel comfortable saying stuff, that's what they would say is, we're just really glad. Everyone around here is really glad we're in this new dynamic. It's a very healthy working relationship and everybody's pulling from the same end of the rope. And it's a joy to do this and help the guy. Wink, wink. Like, those were the positive ones. The people that were like, I don't know this guy, I'm not going to tell him everything. So I don't know, man. I don't know. But the evidence that he treated employees poorly, the evidence is employees telling me that he treated everybody poorly. People that were around the building, in the building. Okay. So whatever. Yeah, that's the thing. If he wins tomorrow night, Kelly will raise you up on eagle's wings. You are spoiled. Just deal with it. Oh, man. Oh, that's funny. Oh, Kent, he's fighting back. Your video yesterday about it being a good thing that other programs might want Freeman. I got to disagree, because if ND was premier job, it wouldn't be a thought. No team has tried to poach Dave. I mean, I obviously know the angle you're coming from, Kent, and how you're going to frame everything. But I just, it is, I mean, maybe it's fair to say, I mean, why would you approach Ryan Day if you just won the championship and you look great this year? Then why would you even try and do that? The other thing is Ryan Day's won a lot, but I don't know if he has a personality that everybody enjoys. I don't know that part. I don't know enough about him to know what the personality's like off the field or how the Ohio State people feel about it. But if you're winning championships and you're playing as well as you are this year with that defense, who cares? Like, that's the other thing, you guys. That's the other thing. What's going on, Pat? That's the other thing is, like, I don't, it's a complicated discussion. It's a complicated discussion. I don't know. I just think it's probably a good thing that a lot of people want your young coach. I just think that's a good sign that you got something going on. And yeah, this is an issue too, Andrew. And it's an issue going on at LSU too. So it's not just a Notre Dame thing. From what I heard, Kelly was distant with a lot of players. I never read that he was a tyrant, but I would love for some reason somebody to write a book about the Kelly Swarbrick era. That was a big deal. The former Notre Dame players did not feel welcomed or wanted around campus under Kelly, unless you were that core group of Kelly guys that went to the NFL. Then I think he wanted them around, but not to further the Notre Dame cause and be a good promo, but just because it made Kelly look good. The guys that went pro from his initial his groups, I think it was about he only wanted them around because it made him look good. Generally speaking, though, the former players did not feel wanted around the program under Kelly. They were not invited back. They were not wanted back. People even had trouble getting back in the building. If they said, I want to come back, take a tour, look around, talk to people. Nope, can't do that. That first blue and gold game, Freeman was in charge and Kelly wasn't. Freeman put out an email to all the former player alumni they got a big email database, inviting them all back, wanting to talk to them about what's going on in the program, wanting them to meet and talk to these young kids about how to succeed at Notre Dame. He invited them back, welcomed them back. Now I'm seeing a lot of the same stuff at LSU where they're complaining that they don't feel welcome. It doesn't feel like Kelly wants to hear what the 2019 LSU national championship players could pass along to these kids. So I don't know, man. Kelly did a lot of good things. a program builder, whatever, some stability there. He did a lot of good things. Also, James Franklin's very similar. James Franklin is very, very similar as far as like a stable program builder that's going to get you to a certain level. I just don't know if Franklin and Kelly have what it takes to get it over the edge. There's something missing. It feels like there's something missing to get it all put together with a guy like Franklin and a guy like Kelly. There's like some invisible roadblock. You talk about that it factor, lack of it factor. Lack of it factor. I don't know. Andrew Gilmore. It sounds like Kelly was a politician. Slick presentation, but completely transactional behind the scenes. But you have to admit, he is loyal to his coaches. No coaches ever say anything bad. Sure. Yeah, that's fine. I still think LSU blows out A&M. Yeah, Pat, it is good to have you here, Pat. I don't know what to make of Texas A&M. I'm going to get to your calls. You guys are going to come up next. I don't know what the reality is about Texas A&M. And I said it before, and I'm going to say it again. I feel like Miami outplayed Notre Dame. On their end, they played a pretty solid game, outplayed Notre Dame, went one up front, and deserved to win that football game. I do not feel that way against A&M. That is the one that bothers me. I have come to some level of miserable peace with the Miami game because I could say, yeah, it was close and we could have pulled it out, but they made those key plays in a rivalry game that get you over the top at home, and they deserve to win the game. But as far as A&M, man, you gave that game away, and it was just unacceptable. If you were 1-1 out of that group of two, you could live with it. You gave the A&M game away, and I don't know what to make of them. I still don't think their defense is good. They can move the ball and score. I don't think their defense is good, though. But then you match that up with an LSU team. Isn't LSU one of the only teams that hasn't scored 25 points against a Power 5 opponent yet? Power 4? I'm pretty sure I read that LSU is like the only offense. There may be one other that has not broken the 24-point barrier against a Power 4 team. So I have doubts about A&M's defense, but I have real doubts about LSU's offense, and they can't run the ball. They have offensive line problems, and then you tell me it's supposed to be a downpour? I don't know how that translates. But it's just, so I don't know where this is all going to fall because LSU has real offensive problems. They have not been able to establish the run at all. And now you got a rain game. Is Kelly going to have Nussberger throw it 80 times in the rain, or what are we doing here? Maine goes, yes, John, the offense only averages 21 points per game. So, and a lot of that is skewed when you played Central Louisiana or whatever, and they scored like 56 on them or whatever. So, I don't know. I don't know. But I do know if it happens tomorrow and LSU catches that third loss, I'm going hard. I'm going very, very, I am prepared. I'm going hard. If Kelly saves it, then he saves it. And we see what happens against Alabama. So I don't know, but I'll tell you this, for a week when Notre Dame's off, I could not possibly, you could not build any dynamic that I have more of an interest in than LSU and Texas A&M on all fronts. The practical nature of A&M's playoff situation tied to ours, and on the personal level, seeing what happens with Brian Kelly. But Sly, you have no idea. There's some things coming. So if it happens, it happens, and you're going to be entertained late into Saturday night. And if it doesn't happen, then he saved the day, and you could go to Alabama, and we'll check it out there. And I will applaud him for winning with his back against the wall. Give him credit. So I don't know. So whatever. It's going to be really, really interesting. Sly, you know exactly. Sly, I think you and I, man, we share half a brain sometimes. It's really scary. We're always on the same wavelength. You know exactly what my angles are going to be on this, Sly. You know, and I'm ready to go. So let's just see if Kelly saves the day. Let's see if he saves the day. I think we had a super chat. Let's get that. Let's get that chat. $2 holler for the Chief. BK to Michigan State. Mike Locker, Sherelle. Is there any case for, I'm just throwing this out there. Tell me if I'm wrong. Is there any case to be made for Brian Kelly being like, this LSU thing's like stressful or whatever. I'm just going to go to Penn State and do that. Northern thing, like a little different feel. Is there anybody that's like, is Brian Kelly feeling it? Nobody wants me anymore. They don't trust me or like me. Maybe I'll just go to Penn State and do that. So I don't know. I don't know. Somebody's got to tell me if I'm wrong. I don't want to put out misinformation. Someone tell me if this is incorrect. I swear I read that Brian Kelly and James Franklin have the same agent that landed both those guys 10-year deals, and look where they're both at in the 10-year deals. I don't want to put out misinformation, but I swear I read somewhere that they have the same agent and he got them 10-year deals at both, and they're both falling apart after a few years. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. LSU YouTubers are pushing a retirement narrative. I guess if he just said, I don't need to do this anymore or whatever, went to ESPN, get on the game day desk where he can run his mouth or whatever, they would absorb some of that buyout from the new media contract, and then it would offset. I don't know. But here's the question with it. Does anybody really think Brian Kelly's ego is going to allow him to step down? I get a really hard time believing that Brian Kelly's going to be like, yeah, I don't know, man. I'm failing. I'm just going to ride into the sunset and golf. I don't think his ego's going to allow him to leave early unless it's for another opportunity. I don't know. But I want to go, before we go to the people, I want to go back to what I was saying about the bye week being on an off week. The media I've consumed this week is unlike anything I've ever consumed before. With all the LSU drama, with all the Florida drama, with all the Penn State drama, Florida State wants to get rid of their guy. The other one I looked up was, I sought out, this is what you can do in a bye week. When I was at the gym, I sought out a Wisconsin radio show from the ESPN Madison radio channel there. Man, they are saying Fickle, he doesn't go to donor events. He doesn't want to show up where they honor the Rose Bowl victories from the old days with Barry and have people come back, the players come back and do a big benefit. He doesn't want to show up there. He's refusing to build inroads with Wisconsin high school coaching pipelines. He doesn't want to go to games on a Friday night. He doesn't want to make those visits, show up in those gyms and meet all these administrators and stuff. But once the ESPN radio people that are all Wisconsin grads up there in Wisconsin, once they start saying he is literally just not showing up to these donor events and shaking hands and hugging babies and all the BS you got to do. He doesn't want to do it. He doesn't like it. He doesn't want to interact with the people. And now that it's going bad, he knows it's going to be negative. He doesn't want to do it even more. You're done. Once you get to that point, you're cooked. Once you get to that point, you're cooked. So I know they're talking about we don't have the money to buy him out. Now it's getting to be all NIL type stuff. We don't have enough money to compete, whatever. I'll say this. Like I said about LSU, Wisconsin is a fun little football culture in its own kind of Wisconsin-y way up there. not a huge fan base, but a very fiercely loyal one for those that are in it. Wisconsin is a fun, classic college football fandom setup. And it's all been ruined. Like, I don't know how old you guys are, but I remember when Wisconsin was a very respectable Big Ten program. They would run the ball. They would play physical defense and run the football. And they were competing for like the Big Ten or whatever. That place is out of sight, out of mind. Totally out of sight, out of mind. Like, it doesn't even register Wisconsin football anymore. They have fallen a long way. And the other part about it is our man Barry Alvarez. That's a Lou Holtz guy. That's one of our guys. I like seeing good things happen for that guy. So it is really, really, really tough. That is a cool college feel program around Madison and all that. And they are just down and out. But when them radio guys are saying he is not showing up to these events and people are noticing and they're not happy, and you marry that with not winning on the field and not recruiting well, you're done. You're done. So I don't know how they come up with the money to get rid of him and do something else. You're done, bro. So I don't know. Come on, you guys. For 3 years, Fickle started. Quarterback's been hurt, playing with third string QB and running backs. Kent, you can't. Okay, let's say I understand that, right? Let's say I understand that. You still can't not do all the donor and the glad ending and the shaking hands and going to the donor events. You can't not win on the field and then double down and say, I'm not showing up to that donor event. I'm not showing up where they honor the Rose Bowl teams and all the players and coaches come back and I'm on campus and I'm not going to go there. You can't do that. You can't do it. So I don't know, man. I don't know. But I'm telling you, between the USC stuff, all the Penn State drama, the Florida drama, the Florida State drama, the Wisconsin drama, just all of it, it's super interesting. I've never seen a week of college football content like this because it's all so bizarre where all these different institutions are. And even with the 2 losses we're all frustrated with, it does make you sit there and go, Notre Dame's in a pretty stable spot. Notre Dame's in a pretty stable spot. Kent, I want to give you guys credit. You're the Ohio State credit for this. And I know the Notre Dame people aren't going to like this, but it's a fact, and it doesn't matter how we feel about it or whatever. Kent, I am genuinely impressed with the consistency of Ohio State year in and year out. It is like a well-oiled machine. There is no rebuilding. They reload. Every time they lose a batch of NFL guys, they get another batch of NFL guys. It doesn't seem to be a drop-off. They're the number 1 team right now. And they're almost like not even mentioned that much. Like, that is a compliment to you when you're just number 1 and you're not all over the news because there's all these fires going on everywhere else and all this drama or whatever. And you just keep on winning. What I'm most impressed with is that defense. You lost a bunch of guys, your coach or whatever, and the defense is better. It's genuinely, it's better. So as much as, we haven't beat them in 100 years and all this stuff, which is true. I got to be honest. Ohio State's consistency really does impress me. It is a well-oiled machine, talent on talent on talent. You got to give them credit. So it hurts to say, but they're doing a really good job at Ohio State. They just keep it rolling week in, week out. So I don't know, man. I'm just saying it deserves that level of respect. They're playing really good football. Defensively, I'm super impressed. It was like maybe they're going to take a step back, lost some guys, new coordinator adjustment. No, they're better. So $2 holler from the skater. Hey, Trojans, you kicked the price, you paid the price. $20 holler from the main man. You want to make it happen and be on top, you got to put in the work. That's why pyramids are still standing after 6,000 years on all the continents on the planet. And then a shot at BK and onward Notre Dame. I thought the aliens made those things. Yeah, I thought it was the alien that made that. $10 holler from Ryan Elliott. Respect, John. Thank you to the Mangoes. I mean, you can't deny the truth, man. Like, Ohio State's consistency is very impressive. And nobody's going to like this in the Notre Dame community, but it is good to have a Northern power, a Midwestern Northern power that is like in the title on every single year. And that's where you want to get as Notre Dame, but you're not quite there with the consistency. So I do think it is important to have that representation of having one of the elite teams be a Midwestern Northern team. And you want it to be us. You want it to be us. They're where you want to be. And it really hurts, but it's the absolute truth, man. It's the absolute truth. So I got to give them credit on that. Ryan Elliott, $10 holler. Thank you very much. So I don't know. So wherever you guys want to go, let's get into some calls. One question I want to know, you guys should put this in the chat. I want to know, is a 10-2 Notre Dame team in the playoff, regardless of what happens with other games and other teams? Or do you believe Notre Dame needs help? And even at 10-2, you need help with other teams losing and dominoes falling to where Notre Dame maneuvers in or whatever. And last thing I'll say before we take some calls. Is there, again, I'm not smart enough with the math and to do the chart of who needs to win and lose every week to put Notre Dame up or down. I am not smart enough for that. Don't have time for that. The question is there not a scenario where A&M and Miami totally screw Notre Dame? I think the best path for Notre Dame would be if Miami stayed undefeated and won the ACC. And Texas A&M stayed undefeated, at least made it to the ACC championship, and then they make it with even one loss or whatever, but they're really elite and high up. What if Miami and A&M end up 10-2? What if Miami and A&M end up 10-2? Follow me here. If they end up 10-2, you're allowing other teams to slip in that playoff thing ahead of them from their conference. And then at 10-2, they have a tiebreaker over Notre Dame. So those teams at 10-2 have tiebreakers over Notre Dame. And then if they're 10-2, they're going to allow other teams in between where Notre Dame and them and the top is. And I think that all pushes Notre Dame down. Am I wrong? Am I wrong in assuming that? And if one of them gets to 3 losses, say Miami, the wheels fall off in November like it did last year, whatever. The wheels fall off in November. They lose gas and they get to, so then what? They have 3 losses. Then Notre Dame could jump up, but they don't get but you don't get the credit of one of your losses being a good loss then because they have 3 losses, but then you're ahead of them. I don't know. If Miami's 10-2, Notre Dame's in trouble. That's what I'm saying. So people that are certain Notre Dame's a guarantee at 10-2, a lot of it depends. When you start 0-2, you're beholden to what happens everywhere else to such a large extent. You just hate it. I got people that are even saying 10-2 Notre Dame can maneuver into a home game. So the range on this is Notre Dame's not in at 10-2. You need a bunch of things shape out to get you in a good spot. All the way to people are telling me 10-2 Notre Dame could host a home game. What's the truth? What's the truth? I have no idea, man. I have no idea what the truth of it is. Pat, what's going on, buddy? Welcome in on a Friday.
Hey, Johnny. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I've enjoyed the bye week. I needed the off week. I needed the break. I've enjoyed it thoroughly. I recharged my batteries for November. I need the break.
Well, yeah, it is nice to get a break. I think Jay Carr, he commented kind of what I wanted to hit on. I think it's going to fall down to the ACC. Now, I said last week, and I still believe, or Monday, and I still believe this. Notre Dame controls their own destiny. I think you win out, you get in. I'm still pretty firm on that. The one thing that has me nervous is not so much the Big 12. I think the Big 12 will collapse as it always does. Is the ACC. You have Georgia Tech, you have Miami, you have Virginia, you have Louisville. You got 4 teams there. They're winning. And if you look at their schedule, they're all kind of jumbled up to where they're not actually playing each other. Like I went through the ACC schedule, and I think Virginia might play Georgia Tech, or Virginia plays Louisville, something like, or they may already play, but like they're not all really playing each other. So what I'm worried about is that you're going to get 2 ACC teams. You're going to get Miami and Georgia Tech playing each other for the ACC championship. And they'll both be inside the top 10 for the playoff at that point. And if that's the case, we already know what they do if you make your conference championship game and you lose. They don't kick you out. We saw that last year. So Georgia Tech, if they lose to Miami, while we think that's good for Notre Dame, that's not, because Georgia Tech's not going to get the boot. And Notre Dame this year, their ACC slate is all the garbage teams. They don't have Georgia Tech. They it's just such a weird scheduling, setup that I think it causes a potential concern for Notre Dame. There's a lot of college football left to be played, so I'm not actually, I don't think it's coming to play. Teams lose all the time to teams they shouldn't lose. We watch that week after week after week. So I think it will work itself out, which is why I think Notre Dame will be fine. But that's the one wrinkle I see where Notre Dame could get screwed.
Yeah. And does it make sense what I'm bringing up about Miami and A&M and the weird position Notre Dame's in, where like you kind of either want them to be really good or totally fall apart? Anything in the middle, I think that gets tough for Notre Dame. So I don't know, man. But I have a lot of people tell me 10-2 Notre Dame could even maneuver into a hosting position.
I don't
find
know.
I find that hard to believe.
I don't. We weren't sure Notre Dame was going to get the home game last year at 11-1. So I don't see that happening. I don't care.
Pat, how much of that thought was because of who the one was? I was thinking about that last night. Like if it was a close game against Miami, I would have looked at 11-1 last year differently than 11-1, but in Northern Illinois.
Sure,
so I'm just wondering if that played into that calculation at 11-1.
So let's say if Notre Dame was 11-1 this year and you had a 3-point loss to Miami, Notre Dame's in a bye. I would believe, unless there's 4 undefeated teams, Notre Dame's in a bye, because it just would look so different. But I don't see Notre Dame getting a home game. Nor do I think Notre Dame deserves a home game, because I'm not sold on Texas A&M. I just don't see it. That's why I think LSU is going to just blow their doors off tomorrow night. And I'm not. I think Miami's been exposed. I think all you need against Miami is a pass rush, because Carson Beck is not that good. Once you hit that guy, he just throws the ball up. And so unfortunately, while our 2 losses look good on paper, I think that paper is about to be exposed, and we're going to see that those teams are not what everyone thought they were. So yeah, I'm rooting hard for A&M and Miami, but
Pat, LSU has had trouble moving the ball and scoring or doing anything all year. If it's rainy, like they're talking, I don't know. Even with the questions on A&M's defense, like LSU's offense has been dysfunctional. The O-line, they can't run the ball. I don't know what we're going to get.
John, it's the most Brian Kelly situation you've ever come across.
Back against the wall, and then right when he's dead, he gives you a little hope.
So I've been watching a lot of LSU pods, just because I find them entertaining now. Like at first I was trolling them. Me and Drunk Vigo were in one the other night, and we were trolling them. But not that gets boring. But now I just like to watch what they're saying and what they're doing, and like the excuses they're coming up with, and it blows my mind. But I do think like this is the most Brian Kelly situation, and it is going to be his back's against the wall. He hasn't his job is on the line. We've seen him before. This is a
Mhm.
football game he wins. And especially when you look at Texas A&M, I think Texas A&M is soft. And I say that full well knowing Notre Dame was soft when Texas A&M played them. So it's a game he wins. This is just a game he wins. People say he's never won a big game. He has. I mean, he doesn't do it regularly, but he has. And this is a game that's set up perfectly for him to be able to come back and say, "Shut up." I still know what I'm doing. I think as far as the offense is, it sets up perfectly. Like I've been the Joe Sloan runs the offense, right? That's their offensive coordinator at LSU, whatever. Yeah, I think it's Joe Sloan. They're all talking about how he's run the offense, and it's because Kelly, doesn't want to do it. And obviously, that's the case. Kelly is lazy. He does enough to win, but he doesn't do enough to win big. And so I think you watch. Kelly's going to probably call the plays on Saturday night. The offense is going to perform better, and it's going to be because of Kelly calling the plays and because they're playing Texas A&M's defense.
Now,
And
I
their
thought he
defense is
was
probably
asked
gonna step up.
about that, Pat. I thought he was asked about that in a recent presser. Would you consider taking plays? And he kind of did that. There's a lot that goes into that. And he said, I have veto power over anything. I hear it all, but I don't think that's the thing. I don't know.
But we just know though that he doesn't do it. He doesn't do it. Like he doesn't care until he has to care. Until he's got the worst defense in the country and he has to fire his defensive coordinator mid-season because he's told he's going to be out the door if he doesn't make a change. And then he turns it around and hires Mike Elko.
Yeah.
So like until he's put up against a wall, he won't change. But the minute he's against that wall, he changes. And that's where he's at right now. Something's got to change, and he's going to change.
Yeah.
I
It's
think
really, really
I just think this sets
interesting.
up perfectly for Brian Kelly, because then he's going to have the number 4 team in the country come into LSU, and he's going to win. And then he's going to sit there and say, I don't know why you guys talk about it. I never win big games. I just beat the 4th ranked team in the country.
Yeah.
And again, he can continue his BS narrative. Anyways, I like I said, he's not going to get fired this year. I don't think so. I think the money is still too big, even with the mitigation.
Yeah.
But unless he goes 7-5, I mean, if he loses to A&M, Alabama, and Oklahoma,
Yeah.
I don't know how they keep him.
But
Regardless,
see, here's the other issue, Pat. The other issue is they put $20 million into this roster, got the number 1 portal class, shelled out a ton of money. They had a 5th-year quarterback coming back that in the summer was on Heisman watch lists. They were all in on this year. Like
he was in
Kelly
the press conferences. He said, "This is going to be the best football team I ever put on a field." Not LSU, like best football team ever. And it's been an embarrassment.
So the problem is, he did the all match the money for NIL, put $1 million in, you put $1 million in, whatever. He did all that. They went all in on this. The issue is next year is kind of a rebuilding year no matter what. You're going to have a new quarterback. Most of that defense is gone. All the pieces they paid $20 million to go for it this year are going to be gone. Yeah. Next year's going to be rough. So there's not even a thing of like this year's rough and next year's trending up. They're starting over in a lot of key places next year. So offensive line trouble. So I don't know, man. And I know Notre Dame's not a perfect team and everything, but give me a break. It's the off week. I'm looking at a big game on the schedule.
I want to point out, so let's contrast LSU and Ohio State real quick. And Kent, cool your jets. He put $18 million into the Texas A&M roster in the transfer portal, right? Last year, the narrative. Now, this was the transfer portal. He spent it on transfer players to come in. He had a slew of transfer players. The narrative last year for Ohio State was they did the same thing. They spent $20 million in the transfer portal. That is not true. LSU did not spend $20 million. They got the kid from Alabama, the safety, who they gave a lot of money to. But that kid was also, what is he, a sophomore or something like that? Like he was a young kid. Kelly put $18 million into juniors and seniors coming in. And Ohio State did it on probably the best safety in college football, who was a sophomore coming out of Alabama. And then everyone else on that roster, that $20 million roster, and the quarterback they got to transfer into. But those were all players that were there. It was no different than what Notre Dame did. Notre Dame had like $16 to $17 million in their roster. It wasn't kids bought in the transfer portal. It was kids being compensated through recruiting.
Yeah.
And so that's that's what you're seeing is the difference now in college football. There are teams going out there thinking they could buy, we can buy our roster like Brian Kelly's doing at LSU. And then there are teams like Notre Dame and Ohio State who are trying to do it the right way. They're building their roster from recruiting, and they are getting the necessary pieces to bring in from the transfer portal. That's why you get 4 or 5 kids that come in from the transfer portal. You can't get 11, 12. You cannot convince me that if you get 12 to 15 kids transfer into your program, you have a good football program. If you need that many players, you have a serious problem with recruiting. And so if Brian Kelly, who's supposed to be recruiting so easy at LSU, he doesn't even have to leave the state, is doing so great at recruiting, why does he need to bring all these kids in? There's something wrong there. Same thing with Lincoln Riley at USC. There is something wrong there if you have to go out and buy that much talent. Indiana is doing it, but Indiana is doing it differently. A lot of those kids came with him from James Madison. And then, he might be the anomaly. He's actually doing it. I'm still trying to think about it.
Yeah.
I'd have to look at Indiana more, but he might be the anomaly. But yes, I am agreeing. Ohio State did not buy the transfer portal. Ohio State got the necessary pieces to make a national championship team. The rest of it was home built.
Yeah, I think there's a blend now of those edge guys that either could try and go pro, or maybe you want to do something else or whatever, and you could put money into retaining your roster, saving an offensive lineman that may be borderline draftable, give him enough money to come back, build his draft stock. Doing enough to, a lot of this money goes to retain some of your good guys, not just getting the new ones. And I think fans don't think of it that way.
We saw it with the offensive lineman before the bowl game.
Yeah.
He asked for a fat bag of cash to play in the bowl game and come back.
Yeah.
Why? Like, why would you pay him? But at the same time, I think Notre Dame also easily saw, like, look, he's a good player. He can go to the NFL and he'll be fine. We have good players behind him. With him, we'll be fine. So it's easy to make that decision. But yes, these kids can come back year after year and ask for more money. And they say, we'll transfer. That's where I think culture really, really matters. And I think the two best cultures in college football are Notre Dame and Ohio State. Because you don't see the kids leaving these schools for the bag of money. What was it? When I rewatched the USC game, they said it in a broadcast that Price was offered millions to leave Notre Dame to go be the feature back at another major program. They didn't say who it was, and I never heard that story before. I don't know if you have, but and you think about it and say that kid turned that down. You know how hard it is for a 19, 20-year-old kid to turn down millions of dollars? And I'm sure he's getting paid well. But he believes in something at Notre Dame. Those kids believe in something at Ohio State. So that culture matters. And that's why I think Marcus Freeman is the guy everyone wants, because they're seeing he is building something at a school that is typically harder to build at. He is winning games he's not supposed to win. He is now finally winning all the games he's supposed to win.
Yeah.
And he's a dogged recruiter who doesn't stop working, and he's 39 years old.
Yeah.
That's why everyone wants him. It's not because Ohio State's a premier job, Kent. It's because there's just so much to go with them. And so I think that's why everyone wants Freeman. And that's why, and I'm not saying nobody wants Ryan Day, but it's just Freeman offers so much more just from a perspective of what he's doing in a place that it seems harder to do.
Now, I want to mention this too, because I see people bring up Notre Dame's offensive lineman they lost to Tennessee and Indiana or whatever. That is a totally different dynamic, you guys, because Freeman didn't kick him out the door, but they were invited to come back, but they both probably knew they weren't going to win starting roles, and Freeman was open and honest about that. So it hurt your depth. There's no doubt it hurt your depth. But that is a different scenario because you're not talking about a frontline guy that would start anywhere in the country. Both of those linemen were not going to start. That is a totally different world. That is a depth thing that you wish you had, but they weren't going to start. That is different than a Jeremiah Love that could go start anywhere in the country. And then that is a different dynamic. I don't look at those the same. And that is a result of the modern era of college football. If a guy's good enough to start somewhere and get a bunch of money, they're not going to play for you on the bench instead. That makes total sense. I have no hard feelings.
Yeah, for sure. Bring up WPP's comment.
WPP. We are not seeing the transfers because ND's matching the money offered. Mills and Cross came back for the 24th season out of their love for Notre Dame and several $100,000 each.
I totally agree.
Okay. Yeah. Great.
I totally agree with that. Great. I have no, but again, what did I said at the start? I think Notre Dame's roster last year was earning somewhere around like $16 to $17 million. That's what their NIL deal covered. They're in the top 10 of NIL every year. So the narrative that Notre Dame doesn't pay its players like everyone else.
That's over. That's over. Everybody needs to understand that is over. Notre Dame can do what they need to do financially to make competitive offers.
Correct.
That is not a thing anymore. It shouldn't be a narrative.
If you were a narrative, right? If you were losing for a different reason. It's not about money.
Yeah.
So that's true. So I totally agree with WPP here. And then the second part is like for Price was a specific scenario where if the story is true, he was offered millions more than what he's making. You don't make that offer to say, hey, we're going to give you the same amount of money, but you could be the future back. No, he was offered money on top of what he was already earning. And he still turned it no. And that's my point of culture. You know, Freeman always talks about his, choose hard. Hey, we're going to pay you well here. Don't worry about that. You're gonna get just as good as what anyone else is out there getting.
Yeah.
But he does it to choose hard because he wants guys to recognize nothing's going to be easy in life, and we're going to get you to do. We're going to get you to succeed and battle through things, and you're going to be better for it. And these kids are buying into it. They're so buying into it, and it's pretty awesome to watch. Like Kennedy Urlacher. After the USC game, and I was walking out, and I thought it was a fight. I thought there was a fight between Notre Dame players and USC players, and it turned out all the Notre Dame players were just seeing their buddy Kennedy and hanging out with him, jumping up and down with him. And it was funny because other USC players thought it was a fight, and they tried to jump in there, and then they saw everybody was in there smiling and stuff. So it is that. So. I know. I saw it, and it distracted me. It totally knocked me off my game.
Mr. Cotter is making a ton of sense. And I do regret my comment that he turned off his camera.
Does he not remember I used to do the show on camera?
Mr. Cotter is devilishly handsome, and his face is a welcome.
That totally knocked me off my rail right there.
But I'm going to tell you what, Pat, what a unique personality in this ecosystem that guy is.
I know. But Kennedy Urlacher was a kid that transferred from the program. And so, but he wasn't a kid that transferred from the program because he didn't, he was mad or he wasn't getting paid. He transferred from the program because Marcus Freeman sat him down and said, there's 7 safeties on the roster and we're only going to play 6.
Yeah. And you'll probably be on some special teams. That's about it.
At best. And so there was no point for him to stay. It was like a mercy killing almost.
And you know what else, Pat, too? Freeman is honest. He doesn't BS these guys and play games. He will sit a kid down and be like, we both know the reality of the situation. You're welcome to stay if you want, provide some depth, but you're probably not going to start. Make a decision that's good for you and your family. Freeman's not the type of guy to BS you to keep you a year because he knows that's short-ended, that short-minded thinking. He's very open and direct. They have very uncomfortable talks with some of these guys where it's their Notre Dame dream just isn't going to work out the way they wanted. And then you go figure something else out.
For sure.
But I don't know. They're doing a pretty good job. Is there anything else on your radar this weekend, Pat? Thanks for joining.
No, got a all-day 6th grade girls basketball tournament to attend. So
woo! Let's get after it.
It's going to be exciting. At least my daughter plays a lot. That's about all we got going for it.
Oh, that's good, man. Hey, I really appreciate you jumping in. This video thing it's got a different feel now with this StreamYard link. It's just a little, you don't know what you're going to get. It's been kind of fun and interesting. I think people kind of like, and when Bruce joined the other day from his podcast, it's just a different like presentation. And everybody was saying his voice next to mine is really funny because I'm like, scratches on the chalkboard, and then
James
you
Earl
got
Jones,
Barry White in the studio.
All right, yeah. No, have a good show, Johnny. Good to jump on with you.
Hey, enjoy the weekend.
I want Texas A&M to win so bad, guys. I really do. But I just feels it has that Brian Kelly pulls it out feel, and I don't like that either. But that's what it feels like to me.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. We'll enjoy a full day of football, and we'll get back to our stress
I did have a
next
question.
week.
I did have a question for you. Did you see that podcast that Marcus was on?
Parts of it. I didn't see the whole thing, but I saw parts.
Did you see? I'm the same way. I didn't see the whole thing either. Did you see? They asked him about the Florida job and being the number one person.
Yeah.
You hear where he said, yeah, that was just an immediate no.
Yeah.
Like, so people don't fret. Like this is, you want your quarterback to be mentioned, or you want your head coach to be mentioned for these jobs. So don't fret it, and just know that he is just immediately turning them down. So
yeah, and the other thing is Notre Dame is very well aware of what they have and what they got to protect. Like Notre Dame would do everything in their power to do whatever they needed to keep Freeman around till you get a damn championship. So,
yeah, for sure.
Pat, everybody loves you. Everybody's glad to have you back. People are saying love you back on screen, whatever. So it's good to have you.
Maybe we do something more like a Monday morning quarterback with Cotter or something like that. Maybe we talk about something.
I like that.
15 minutes and then I'm off.
I like that very much. We'll figure something out. Give you the Cotter Corner segment. We'll come up with something good. I like that. I'm always thinking of them rhymes. All right, have a good one. Hey, tell all the girls I said hi. Okay.
Will do. Bye.
See you. Oh, it's good to have them. Jay Carr, what's going on, buddy?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
I'm glad Cotter went first, because whatever he said about LSU and Brian Kelly, how he's going to pull the game out, I totally 100% agree. It seems like a Brian Kelly-esque game that everyone wants him to lose, and he just pulls it out of his ass.
Yeah, and again, I think I have a good grasp on what LSU is. I'm having a hard time figuring out the reality of Texas A&M. Like, you know what I'm saying, Jay Carr? I know what LSU is. I do not know exactly what to make of A&M, even at 7-0 or whatever. I'm not sure.
Yeah, they haven't really, besides us, they haven't really played that, like, great SEC team.
Yeah.
I mean, they played Mississippi State. They stink. Auburn stinks. Their coach doesn't know what they're doing. Florida, Napier just got fired. Arkansas was like their best game besides us that they played, and they won by 3. So yeah, I'm kind of with Cotter as well. I don't know what to think of A&M. I'm not super. Then they have Missouri coming up, South Carolina, and they end with Texas. So do they lose 2 of those remaining 5, maybe?
Yeah.
But
I don't know.
I don't think they're like running the table and going 12-0. But
yeah, and
they
then
might. I think they probably will make it to the SEC championship, though.
Your internet's being iffy, Jay Carr. What do you make of Notre Dame at 10-2? Are they in automatically, or do you need dominoes to fall? Killing me with the internet, Jay Carr. Go to Verizon or something. Get the better internet. Nikki Dean loves to be heard and seen. What's up, buddy? You're up.
Hey, not much. I just want to reiterate those 3 teams we got to hope win this weekend. Ole Miss, Iowa State, and Syracuse. Got to have them win.
Yeah, it's So, Nick, do you not think we're in at 10-2? We need other teams to fall a certain way, or what do you think the likelihood is? I don't know what to think.
My hope is, and this is totally selfish, I'm going to freely admit that straight off the board. My hope is we're in at 11 at 10-2, IU is at 5, and I got a Notre Dame game an hour away from my house. I'll feel like Philly Haig.
Imagine that rematch, but at the different venue. That would be really kind of interesting to have the Indiana on Indiana battle again, except we would go there this time. They would be really, really interesting. I never thought of it that down the road yet.
Yeah, I mean, that would be awesome. And I might have a Friday night, tailgate at the house there for everybody that wants to come by.
Man,
It depends on what's going on.
This is Nick. This is the stress you put on yourself, though, when you start out 0-2. You lose some of your own agency, and then you have to kind of sit there and hope things fall. I do the thing, Nick, where you pull up ESPN and look at the matchups that week, and you get a little list. Okay, I want this team to win. I want this team to win. Like, it sucks doing that, but that's kind of where you're at when you lose 2 games. You can't really complain about it. You lost 2 games.
I have to admit, though, John, if we were 7-0 right now, I wouldn't care about any other games. I wouldn't care.
You don't have to. You don't have to
I know,
if you're 7-0.
Like right now, it's more interesting to me because I'm looking at all these other teams going, I need this team to lose. I need this team to lose. I need this team to win.
Yeah.
It's just, a cool, because I don't watch that many other teams other than Notre Dame generally. But this year I am.
Yeah.
So it's really kind of cool.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Nick, how proud of you were you of Notre Dame's effort against USC? Man, that was a big one. How proud are you of that performance?
I was sitting there with my best friend saying, dude, we need 4 stops this game. 4 stops and we don't get any. We ended up getting 7, if I remember right.
Yeah.
And the whole time he's just sitting there. There's number 3, there's number 4, all the way up. And I'm like, we got this game. We got this game now. There's no way we're going to not win this game.
Yeah, and it is really, man, it was important to get that one and show that you still have that culture and you weren't going to let them come in your house and beat you, and you beat them up physically. It's everything you could want from a Notre Dame USC matchup, and they're not on the schedule as of right now moving forward. We're going to have to see what happens. I have no idea.
I thought they were on for next year.
I'm pretty sure USC wiped that off, and it is not on their schedule when you look it up as of right now.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's what it's going to be. At least you got the shillelagh and the goog.
Yep. And someone in the chat before I came on to StreamYard said Brian Kelly was going to go to Michigan State, get fired at LSU, go to Michigan State. Man, that would be so great because we play them next year and our team is going to be 10 times better than theirs. And it would just be awesome just to shellac his behind.
Man, I don't know. LSU is in a weird spot right now, and I don't know how it's going to go. He's got a rough back half of this season, and we're going to have to see what happens. But if they miss the playoff and one more loss does it, the heat's going to be on next year, and they're rebuilding next year. So I don't know how that's going to go either. Yeah,
I don't think you saw this, but Ruffino was saying on one of his shows that he wants Brian Kelly gone. He was wrong about Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly's not that good of a coach, blah, blah, blah. I saw that and I started laughing. I was like, man, I hope John sees this, but I know you don't watch those guys. So
let's just see what happens, Nick. But if they do lose tomorrow night, I have multiple pieces of content addressing the LSU fans and media that is going to drop right after the game. So I'm going to lay low and maybe Kelly pulls it out. But if he doesn't, my troll game is going into overdrive because there's some accountability that needs to be had for the things the LSU media and fans have been saying about us for 4 years now. So whatever.
Yeah. And I have to agree with Pat. This is the kind of game that BK is going to pull it out of his butt somehow. And he did it a couple times at Notre Dame and you're like, okay, we're back. And then the next week you lay an egg. Yeah. So I have to agree with Pat. So anyway, I better get off of here. I'm at work hiding.
Thanks for being here. Really appreciate it. Tell the wife I said hi, and hopefully we see you guys soon, man. Enjoy stress-free football watching tomorrow, buddy.
All right, buddy. Bye.
Have a good one. Thanks for jumping on, Nick. LSU fans are saying now they never wanted Kelly. That's interesting because I went back 4 years to some of my bookmark tweets, and they were all saying this is what a big boy program does. we go and steal a lower school's guy that we want because we're the big bad SEC and whatever. And they said Notre Dame's going to spiral. You lost the winningest coach you ever had. Notre Dame's going to spiral into the ground. And without the shackles of the academic constraints of Notre Dame, Brian Kelly's going to rise. Preying on a man, SPF, our one lone resident LSU guy. God bless you, SPF. Preying on a man's downfall is the sickest stuff ever. And you're supposed to be a Catholic school. ND fans are the sickest. No. This is personal. This is personal. And the things Brian Kelly did to hurt us and this program and everybody for so long, and all the talking the LSU contingent did about stealing our man, this is personal. I take it personal. And if he gets the third loss tomorrow night, I'm letting it rip. So just expect it. Come to my channel if that happens. If it doesn't, then God bless Kelly. You won a big game. Oh, it's personal to me, SPF. It's very, very personal. It's not LSU, Notre Dame. It isn't even like Brian Kelly and me. It's the LSU fan base and media's arrogance that I have a problem with. Them thinking just Brian Kelly stepping on their campus would change who he is. That level of unbridled arrogance is really offensive to me. They thought him literally just walking on their campus would change who he is and how he operates. I got a problem with that. They told me I was an idiot for saying the best thing that could happen right now is Kelly leaving in the middle of that November night. And it's the best thing that could happen for Notre Dame, and the program's going to be better because of it. And I was told I was an idiot who doesn't know anything about football. You northern loser, you're not an SEC guy. I got a problem with that media and fan base and the way they bragged about stealing Brian Kelly. And now they all want him fired. And I'm going to make sure that I remind them of everything they've been saying for 3.5 years. All the LSU fans and media had to say is, I don't know what's going to happen with Kelly. There's some things to worry about and some good things. Let's wait and see. I don't know about that. But no, they couldn't do it. It was, we stole your man. And when I said it's the best thing that could happen to Notre Dame, they said you are just coping because you're jealous. We stole your guy and all that. I said, no, you don't understand. Genuinely, I've been ready for this for years. If they lose tomorrow, they're all getting the business. And I have certain things prepared. They're all getting the business. So stay tuned. That's all I have to say about that. Brendan, what's going on, buddy? Good morning.
John, good morning to you, sir. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, crystal clear. What's up?
Whoa, John. Hey, first of all, fan feedback regarding StreamYard. So I'm usually overseas, and I will say the StreamYard works way better than trying to call international. So, and at least when you're waiting on the line, it sounds much more clear. So if this is the long-term solution, I think that's perhaps a good thing overall for the show.
You know what? People recommended doing this before, but I don't know. A part of me felt bad because there is a certain contingent of callers that probably with the tech stuff, that's a little tricky. But actually it livens things up because you're not quite sure what you're going to get. And some people I'll put up on video, and then that creates a different dynamic. From my end, everyone sounds way clearer on the internet version than the phone line version. They really do.
Yep. Yes, sir. All right. I'll start a little picture and then a big picture.
Sure.
Because I've been trying to get you past a little bit. So I'm not all that worried about 10-2. I think 10-2, we do have a very good shot both to get in. I'd say something ridiculous is going to have to happen for us not to get in at 10-2. And then I do think we have a reasonable chance of hosting at 10-2. And I think really it all comes down to, I think there was a narrative set, which isn't completely false, that, those first two games really were the deciding factor of, whether or not Notre Dame would make the playoffs. I can understand why people would think that, but I think when it comes down to it, ultimately, our strength of schedule is not going to be towards the tippy top. But if you look at the other teams that would have to be 10-2, so say Ole Miss or Oklahoma, right? They don't really have any marquee wins either. So, Ole Miss.
Okay, wait. I got to ask this, man. I woke up this morning worried about 10-2 Notre Dame being left out. how do you figure Notre Dame could position themselves at 10-2 into a hosting seed with tie-breaking losses to A&M and Miami? Like, how structurally, how does that maneuver itself to make it a reality?
So you just look at, who has to play each other and who's remaining. So, I'd have to, honestly, you'd have to get like a spreadsheet and like you're forecasting who plays when and all that kind of thing. But it's, you look at we'll have to see where Notre Dame falls out on the opening playoff rankings. But even if you look at the AP and you assume it's going to be somewhat close, a lot of teams are playing each other. They're not that far ahead of Notre Dame. Do they get blown out? What's the win look like? What's the loss look like? I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying, there's a lot of teams that are still going to play each other. And unless like they just literally don't move the rankings at all, and it's kind of just like set in stone, okay, you went from number 5 to number 7, and number 8 goes to number 9. I just think there are going to be people moving out. I mean, Notre Dame certainly has to. All Notre Dame can do now is, continue to beat the spread, continue to look good, continue to win the eye test. But I just can't imagine that there aren't going to be consequences to teams losing. And really, my bigger point is the entire 12-game schedule has to be, compared to another team's entire 12-game schedule. And it's not like, I mean, certainly Alabama has a really, really hard schedule that they've succeeded at. But if you look at these other kind of SEC or Big Ten, or I'm sorry, yeah, I guess you could say the Big 10 or the Big 12, it's like a lot of these other teams, they have 1 or 2 games too. And not all of those teams are going to win all those games. So you're going to have a situation where you have, say, an Ole Miss potentially with who's 10-2 with losses to like Georgia and Oklahoma or something, and who's their best win will be against some random SEC team, right? It's not like you're going to have a bunch of teams that are 10-2 that had bad loss, but also a win over number 1 Georgia or whatever, right? So I'm just saying, like, and definitely in the Big Ten, right? Like Ohio State, they're going to go the whole season. Now they're crushing everybody, but let's say they lose a game. Their best win would have been over a deadbeat Texas team, or like Indiana gets crushed by Ohio State. Who's their best? I mean, each team is going to have, I think really outside of Alabama and maybe Georgia, there's no team that's going to make the playoffs that is just like decimated, very high quality competition. So I'd say overall, I'm feeling good. I do think that
interesting. And the other thing, Pat brought this up. It's something else I think about, man. Are they just going to do away with conference championship games eventually? Because who wants to go get beat up for the playoff? And even the teams that lose aren't penalized and they're in the playoff anyways. Like, it just almost seems like a pointless exercise if you want to get into the playoff fresh and healthy or whatever, to have to play another game. And even if you lose it, you don't get penalized. So like, I wonder if they're just going to do away with it eventually.
Well, yes, I don't know if they will, but here's the conspiracy kind of tinfoil hat theory. So this is a disaster scenario. And I think it was, if the ACC puts itself in a position where they're going to get 3 folks, or maybe like, and you have, what does it be like, Virginia and say Georgia Tech or something, make the ACC championship because of tiebreaker stuff, but Miami still say 11-1. And then, the both teams who are in the championship know that they're going to make it. And so like, I don't know if you quote unquote let the underdog win, but then you guarantee, like, I mean, so because I mean, for the conference's perspective, the value of them making the playoffs is the more teams they have, the more money the conference benefits overall, right? That's how I understand it. So there could be some kind of crazy stuff, but again, I don't think that's very likely. Now, the comfort I take overall is if Notre Dame gets left out, because I'd say if the justification for keeping Notre Dame out is a reasonable adherence to the metrics that I think we should hold ourselves to. Okay, what was your strength of schedule? What were your quality wins? Like FPI sort of stuff. So long as that makes sense, and okay, get it. Notre Dame lost its 2 marquee games. Our strength of schedule is what it was. The 10-2 team or whatever from some other conference that got in, like numerically they did do better. It's not really a screw job. I think that's all good. And I think so long as we can have some sort of reasonable confidence in the process, that's all we can really ask for. And, we didn't hold up our end of the bargain winning the games. And so we know for next year, the measuring stick is what it is, and we got to do better.
Yeah. And last year, Notre Dame stumbled early, fought their way backs against the wall for all those weeks. This season, same thing happened. And it remains to be seen if they can run it out again and then make the playoff after disaster early. Don't you agree? The corner needs to be turned in this Freeman era, where the next level of this is reaching your second bye, reaching November with playoff wiggle room in your pocket, like not playing with your backs against the wall, giving yourself some flexibility in that. That's got to be the next step of consistency for this Freeman program, is not needing to recover from disaster in early September. Give yourself some breathing room to be able to live a little less stressful life building to the playoff. That's got to be the next level of this. Don't you agree?
Yep, I agree, John. And I think so. This shifts to the bigger picture comment I had. I am so incredibly proud to be a Notre Dame fan and to have Coach Freeman as the coach. And I was very, very impressed with the interviews Pete Baklava did on the Dan Patrick Show. I was very impressed. Coach Freeman presented himself on that, and then like the Bussin' with the Boys that another caller mentioned earlier. And then just they say all the right stuff. I think they recognize the value and the importance of Notre Dame football program, and they're doing things the right way. But I just compare it to, man, gosh, dog. I don't know if you saw the James Franklin interview he did on ESPN, last week or whatever it was, and they kind of did like the postmortem. That guy is such a gosh dang joke. Like no humility, no recognition that I guess just like the hubris on this guy. And it reminded me a lot of Kelly. And I agree with you. Kelly did a lot of good stuff to bring Notre Dame organizationally out of the depths of despair that we were in.
Yeah.
But, I am thrilled that the risk that the university took on giving an unexperienced guy a chance from all, outward perspectives, it seems he's doing the work. It seems he's treating people the right way. It seems like he values, the opportunity that he has as a program. And are we going to win every game? No. Are we going to be perfect? No. But like the big markers, recruiting seems to be ticking up. And I guess, just from like a vibe perspective, even in that USC game, even when they went ahead, I didn't have that like pit in my stomach that, oh my gosh, we're going to blow it. I didn't have that in the Miami game. I didn't have that in the Texas A&M game. And I just go back to thinking every big game for Kelly, I just went into the game, please God, don't let us get blown the F out. And ever since Texas A&M last year, and definitely after Georgia last year, I just go into the game. Are we going to win every time? No, but I have a very high level of confidence that Coach Freeman is going to have the boys ready, and we're going to play competitive football, and the chips will fall where they may. And that's just, I think that's a very, very good place to be as a program. And I just, I don't think it should be lost on us. Hopefully we go to the playoffs and do big things this year. I do think, like Mike says, we've got a good 2 to 3 year window that we definitely need to, capitalize on. But this is definitely the healthiest the program's been in a long, long time. And I'm just, I'm grateful for the opportunity to see this.
I was hearing some of the reports from all of those elite recruits that were in town for the USC game. And the legacy outlets have a guy dedicated to chasing those stories, interviewing them and their families for the visit, whatever. Do a good job, right? Man, these people want to play for Freeman, man. People do. They're like, they believe in all that, and they want to play for Freeman. They want to be a part of this. That's how you end up with these NFL guys. They want their kids to come to South Bend because they trust what's going on. And then you present to them, even though the weather was crappy, just that rivalry game vibe, the home crowd winning it, what that's all like. Like, what a home run recruiting weekend for Notre Dame with all those high-level guys in the building, and then you beat your rival. What a good job. They delivered. There is risk in that. You flop when you have all those people for a home game, you're in trouble. Get Texas A&M kind of. Tough scene you made up for with this one. Good job.
Yep, they're doing a really good job. And I think I'll leave you with this, John. So on my social media feed, they were, I don't know if it's funny, but essentially they're showing significant college football quotes kind of from halftime shows. And what pops up is gosh dang Kelly at the 2012 championship game at halftime. He's like, how are you going to do better in the second half, coach? And he kind of laughs and says, maybe Alabama doesn't come out. That is such a ridiculous answer for someone in that position to say. And, I guess, again, just so grateful. Like, I can't imagine a scenario where Coach Freeman's going to essentially say we have no hope. Now, did they have any hope? No. But you as the head man can't possibly say or think like that. And we got a dog in Coach Freeman. I really hope the university can capitalize on the next few years, because he's not going to be the coach forever, right? And maybe he goes to Ohio State or goes to the NFL or whatever. But I do think we're in a fortunate spot, and I'm confident for the rest of the season. Confident if we get in playoffs, boy, we're going to be some trouble. And I just say we got to get Carr back comfortable before that point. But I'm feeling good about the defense, feeling good about the rushing attack. Hopefully someone can kick. But if we get Carr, humming at a pretty good pace, we're going to be very dangerous in the playoffs, and looking forward to the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think CJ Carr could really use this off week just to reset, settle down a little bit, and come back out with a kind of a renewed focus here on the back end of the bye. Hey man, thanks a lot for joining today. Appreciate
Hey,
it. Have a
John,
good
John,
weekend.
can I say one more thing?
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, against that LSU guy, forget that, baby. College football. Best thing about college football is all the dogging the other fan bases. I do very much enjoy after some good team loses, you go and listen to their misery and despair on their podcasts. And so I think it's
Dude, listen, Brendan. Brendan, I gotta tell you, man. That is my dirty little thing, man. When one
it's
of these
hilarious.
teams,
Yeah.
when one of these teams lose that I don't like or don't like the coach, there is nothing more rewarding than putting on their YouTube streams after the game and just listening to all the misery. And you know what? It's all fair because the highest numbers I ever get here is when after Notre Dame loses because everybody else knows I'm going to blow my stack and it's entertaining. That's the world we're in. That's the ball game I'm playing, and it works both ways.
Yeah, that's all good. And obviously, you shouldn't be like mean or cruel or like personal or whatever. And certainly, there are classier fan bases than others. But I think that all goes into it. So it's all good fun. All right, John, I appreciate the show, and I'll continue listening. Go Irish.
Have a good weekend, man. Enjoy it with no Notre Dame stress. It's got to be nice for you. It's got to be nice. Mangoes, what's going on, bro?
God bless Notre Dame. God bless John Kennedy. And God bless the Always Irish community. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'll take those blessings. Thank you very much. I'm this bye week has allowed me to think kind of some big picture stuff, man. And what do you make of it? You're not a Notre Dame guy. Let's make that clear. So I want your opinion because you don't have your judgment isn't clouded by Notre Dame at all. So what do you think? Is it 10-2 Notre Dame team in regardless of what else happens, or do you need dominoes to fall? What is your logic on this?
So I personally think that there's a high possibility that they do get in 10-2. On the country's outlook, it's going to be a divided argument because one half is going to say, yeah, they deserve it. They only had quality losses against 2 top 10 teams by a total of 4 points. And the other half of it is going to be, well, Notre Dame don't deserve it because X amount of reasons why they're going to throw out there in this argument, why you shouldn't be in the playoffs. That would be my answer to that question.
Yeah. What if, you know how they always ask the committee, why did you rank this team there? Or can you explain the logic of why this team is in or whatever? A part of me could see that committee looking at that Notre Dame brand name. They have a little playoff credibility from last year's run. They know they're going to move the needle with the TV and everything. What they could just get up there and go, we know Notre Dame had 2 tough losses, but they've won 10 in a row and they're playing like one of the best 12 teams right now. Couldn't they just say that?
Absolutely. And that's like the first half I was referring to, like they deserve to be in crowd. That's exactly going to be the first thing that they're going to say. It's going to, like, even today's college football landscape, it doesn't, like Lou Holtz said it best when he said that it's a different team every week. I mean, those are words of wisdom in college football, you know. And that's absolutely what I would definitely look at too. They won 10 in a row. The defense is drastically improved. The offense is still explosive. There's literally more reasons why to put Notre Dame in the football the playoffs than keeping them out.
Yeah, it's going to be really, really interesting to see what happens. Do you have any thoughts on LSU, Texas A&M? This game is so intriguing from the Notre Dame angle on all reasons, practical reasons, personal vendetta reasons. There's a lot in this mix. What do you make of it?
You know what? I'm gonna go off the rails a little bit and address this little problem. You got these little LSU trolls in the chat. Let me tell y'all something right now. Y'all lost more points in games. Y'all are not even ranked in the same level as Notre Dame. Notre Dame's ranked 10, y'all ranked 20. Shut up. Oh, yeah, by the way, who was in the playoff last year competing for a national championship? Sure as hell wasn't LSU. Why are you guys over here saying that Notre Dame is like the sickest fan base out there when they just got through a coach who treated everybody with contempt? You guys are going to learn the hard way that Kelly isn't your guy, LSU fan, so shut up. Shut up.
My issue, I already went over. I really respect and like the LSU football culture. It's one of the more unique ones in the country, and I really appreciate it. I really liked it my whole life and had nothing against it ever.
Yeah.
The second Kelly left, their fans and media were all over us. We stole your man. Like, you guys are going down. Kelly's going to be elite. You don't know football. We got your guy. Deal with it. I said Notre Dame would be better for this. They called me an idiot who didn't know about football. I've been on a 3.5-year mission to prove them right and prove them wrong and me right.
No, and it's totally justifiable because, like I said, Brian Kelly. Okay, the first few years of Brian Kelly, I think that was peak Kelly of Notre Dame because he actually did went around the program and say, "Hey, look, he took in constructive criticism of how to improve the program so they can win more football games." I will give him that credit, but it seems like the latter half of his coaching tenure at Notre Dame, it just seems like he treated everybody with contempt, like his attitude, his vibes. He just didn't have like what Marcus Freeman brought to the table. And it's totally justifiable why a lot of Notre Dame fans want that type of, vendetta against Kelly because he wasn't, in my opinion, he's not really that much of a good person.
Yeah, he's just a weird personality.
He
But
is.
I want to be very clear. I never had a problem with the LSU program. It is their fans and their media that I have a direct problem with. Their YouTubers were all saying I was an idiot who didn't know anything about football because I'm a little Notre Dame person and this is the SEC. And I don't know what I'm talking about. They were convinced every Kelly negative bullet point was only because... Oh, no way. Oh, my God. Somebody just did something in this chat. Wait till you guys see what's coming up next. But they were all telling me, you don't know what you're talking about. Kelly's going to be elite. Notre Dame's going to spiral. We stole your man, and you don't know football. And I'm here to prove it wrong.
Well, it's like, cool. You go ahead and good luck with that. Good luck with that. We're going to see how well that's turning out. You guys go into the playoffs. They're fighting, trying to get a chance to go into the SEC championship. And it's just funny. And I said this after you guys beat Georgia, the SEC champs. Oh my God, what a shocker, right, LSU fans? But it goes to the point that I'm saying, Notre Dame fans got something really special right now. And the thing is, Notre Dame fans, what you're going to start seeing is that because the more you're going to get elite, it doesn't matter what you guys do. There's always going to be people that hates Notre Dame because they think of the old Notre Dame the past 20 years up until Marcus Freeman. They're still in the old Notre Dame thing. And you're going to have to get used to that, What's going on in the chat, John? You over there losing it.
There is someone that I think is playing a prank that I'm going to pull up once you're done. And the prank is very hilarious. And so I just saw it pop up and I'm a little excited.
Well, I guess I'll wrap it up because it looks like we got some fireworks coming our way here. But I just want to say that, Notre Dame is looking really good. They look way better than LSU. LSU is not, even on paper, Notre Dame has a lot more to show why they're more of a top 10 team rather than LSU being a top 25 team. And I'm just wishing I knew. I wish I was in your head right now, John, because it looks awesome.
You'll see it. You'll see it in about 1 minute and you'll understand.
All right, I'll go ahead and call it right here so I can see this. John, thank you for pulling me up. I love you guys. You guys have a great day, and go Notre Dame and go Buckeyes, so on and so forth. Midwest Blue Bloods, we unite. Have a good day, you guys.
Have a good one. Hey, May goes, thanks for always being here, even as a non-ND guy. Appreciate you. Thanks.
I like it. Thank you.
All right, you guys. We have a special guest that is joining us live on the video screen. It is Brian Kelly.
Johnny, I thought we was family. How the hell did you talk to me like that? After everything I did to build Notre Dame up, goddamn. I'm angry. These rednecks down here don't know what they're doing.
Dude, is that your Halloween costume?
Why, you son of a bitch, this is me and my southern accent.
How's you and your family doing?
We're angry as hell. Can't win a game. I got jock itch, and I'm late for my tea time.
Is there anything else you would like to talk about? Are you guys going to be able to beat Texas A&M at home?
Who?
Yeah.
You got a game this weekend?
Yeah. Yeah, you got a golf tournament to play.
It's the player's fault. I'll just say that in advance. It's everybody's fault that plays on the field. Not my fault.
Did you poke out the eye holes?
Maybe not.
Oh my God, that is very, very creative. That is the most creative thing we've seen yet. And yeah, Pat brings up a
Wait till
good
you see
point.
my terrible play calling. That's going to be creative too.
Pat brings up a good point. It is a night game, so you could get in a full round of golf before the game.
Yeah. Well, hang on. I'm having a wardrobe malfunction.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm back. I don't like to play on game day because I get dehydrated because it's hot as shit down in LSU. I don't want to start cramping up. You ever seen a man turn purple before? It happens when you cramp up.
You did that with the mouth, and now it kind of looks like a Hannibal Lecter mask.
I take time away from the golf course to talk to you, and you're going to talk to me like that, Johnny? How dare you?
Oh my God, that's funny, man. That is. I saw Brian Kelly in the corner there with that face. I had to bring you up. Anything else on your mind, Brian?
I'm not going to shake hands with Elko after this game because I don't like him. Because he's better than me.
You know what else? That is a very good point. If he lost, then you're looking at Clark Lee, his former employee, beating him, and then Elko, his former employee, beating him.
Yeah. Again, it's not my fault.
Yeah,
it's the player's fault.
Let's just make sure everybody knows that. Whatever happens, it isn't my fault. There's always a reason.
Exactly. Yes. 100%. Now listen, I gotta go. Packy's yelling at me, and I'm late for my tea time. And I've got important recruiting calls not to make. So
yeah,
I gotta work on my grinding moves too. That's how I warm up for my golf game. I grind on some players.
Brian, really, I sincerely mean it. Thank you for taking time to join us before this big game you have coming. I appreciate it.
You got it, Johnny. I hate your guts, and Notre Dame, I hate you.
You never know what you're going to get when you do the video thing, bro. You just never know exactly what you're going to get. All right, we'll do a couple more here and then we'll get out of here. Skate Rat, what's up? Good morning. What's going on?
My chain.
You're into chain gang. What's
and
up?
Not much, just hanging in the man cave.
Hanging in the man cave. What do you make of all this, man? How you been enjoying the Notre Dame off week?
I don't know. Might go skate tomorrow before I have dinner with my girlfriend. And may watch some of these games. You never know. I have a feeling it could be one of Kelly's once in a while big wins, but we all know he's got stumbled to Alabama. So the worst case scenario, your troll game will just get delayed.
Yeah, they got a challenging back half of the schedule. You have this game, you have on the road at Alabama, and I believe Oklahoma's a road game too. So there is it's going to be tough for them, but maybe they get this one. Maybe this is one where Kelly pulls it out back against the wall. I've seen him do it before.
Very true. It's one thing I got to show you guys. Not many people get to see. I actually customize this. Let me bring this up. All right. Ring sticker over here. Players over there. I spray painted that. And I put the players on Leprechaun on that. Put a little field over there. And there's the caboose for that.
Loose in the caboose, baby.
Yeah. I mean, Hold on. But yeah, I was running these two bad boys went before I got on the show. But anyhow, I think Notre Dame at 10-2 does get in.
Okay.
As long as they just stay focused, stay hungry. But you are right, it would help if Miami and Texas A&M did win out. And maybe if USC could make us look good too. And I was at the game in that rain, pouring rain. And one thing they did forget to show, I don't know why I didn't think of it, and I should have. I should have told the stadium, hey, when after Notre Dame wins, you should play the video of Jazz getting thrown out on the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Oh, I'll tell you this. I do give them credit for hitting the California love on the way out. Hitting the California love on the way out was fantastic. It was perfect, man.
Hey, love made California love to USC.
Yeah, it was it was amazing.
Oh, and one other thing. There's something I gotta say since today's Friday. Anytime it looks like Love is about to get all the spotlight, Jadarian Price goes up to him like Craig and his dad on Friday in the kitchen.
Yeah, they do they do a good balance there, man, with those two in and out. I don't know what happened, but you cut out there on the train set, bro. You totally pixelated on me. You froze. Anderson, what's up?
Hey, John, I gotta say I've been laughing the last 10 minutes. So if there's any question at all, if you're gonna keep this whole video new technology versus the phone call, I think the last two callers, man, that takes the cake. This has got to stick for long term.
It's like another angle of like unpredictability.
Oh.
You just never know. It opens up some avenues here that don't exist on the normal phone line. And I'm kind of scared, but it's also kind of exciting at the same time.
You never know what you're gonna get, and I will say it's fantastic. I've been sitting here laughing, but going back to instead of Brian Kelly or trains or whatever we've been talking about, I think 10-2 Notre Dame gets in the playoff. Obviously, I touched on it on Wednesday just because of our brand, and especially I think if we have Love as one of the top players in the country, yada yada. But also, let's get crazy and think of a hypothetical scenario that is not going to happen, but boy, would it be awesome. Actually, it's a question for you. Would you rather, so let's say LSU with their schedule, they went out, it's tough, right? And they're sitting 10-2 into the year. Who knows how the SEC shakes out if they get into that Atlanta game or not. Now, 10-2 LSU, if they went out with that schedule, I believe is probably one of the 2 lost SEC teams that get in. In my opinion, I don't think we host at 10-2 regardless. I think the 2 lost SEC teams are going to host over us. Now, can you imagine Marcus Freeman and the boys marching into Tiger Stadium and playing Crying Brian under the lights, and we just totally spoil a playoff opener?
I mean, hasn't that been like the dream matchup for everybody since Freeman came in and and Kelly went to LSU? Everyone's talked about, like, it might be the #1 matchup America wants to see is Notre Dame against Brian Kelly, whether it's at our place or their place. I'll tell you this, that is a tough place to win though, man. At night, especially Tiger Stadium, real tough place to win. Even Kelly has a good record there. I think he's only lost 2 night games there in 3.5 years, maybe even 1. Alabama last year. I think it's a tough place to go in and win.
No, totally. I think that's why it'd make it that much sweeter if we're talking hypothetically, instead of even though I'm sure Brian Kelly would get a beautiful, warm welcome back into Notre Dame Stadium, I think it'd be even better to just go in there and kick them out of the first round of the playoff, and then who knows what happens after that.
There's so much football left to be played. So many of these teams are going to cross each other off the list by beating each other up, or this happens too. And this happened in some of the early Kelly era. the team would look okay and they run out of gas in November. Remember when that was a Brian Kelly narrative at Notre Dame? Why did they run out of gas and lose in November? And they just kind of peaked too early and ran out of gas. You're going to have some teams do that. The Big Ten and the SEC are going to keep beating each other up. It's going to be a wild ride the next 6 weeks.
Definitely. Yeah. And I think that's the beauty of how our schedule sets up right now. I mean, yeah, we don't play some of these tougher ACC opponents, like I think Cotter was mentioned earlier. But again, if I think Pittsburgh is maybe a sleeper that we're going to, I hope we don't look past.
Yeah.
But I think that they can do some damage in the ACC to some of these top teams, and like hopefully a Georgia Tech or a Louisville. I'm not sure if they play both of those teams or if they already have.
Yeah.
But I think the ACC will get at least 3 teams in, I would guess, maybe 3.
Yeah,
and then that should leave the door open for us.
Listen, Narduzzi has a hard-on for Notre Dame. He hates Notre Dame. Like, that guy will pull out all the stops to beat Notre Dame. He hates us. He's always mad about something with us. Like, so it's going to be interesting. And I also think, listen, Boston College is really, really bad, but no Notre Dame fan's going to forget 93. It's always going to be on high alert for BC from 93, no matter what they're like in any given year. That Navy Pitt corridor could be tricky if Notre Dame isn't on their game. I'm telling you.
Totally. I agree. And I think if I think Navy needs to be ranked next week. I think it's crazy they're not ranked right now by the AP. The AP poll is ridiculous. But obviously that helps. That gives another feather in our cap, I think, kind of like last year with Navy and Army being ranked last year. I think the same thing this year. Granted, they don't play much, but if they're undefeated and they're ranked, we can say, hey, another ranked win. That'd be fantastic. And we need all we can get at this point just to make our case even better. So,
yeah. And I want to be clear too. If a bunch of stupid stuff happens and Notre Dame ends up, 13th or with the first team or two out, you have nobody to blame but yourself. You cannot start 0-2 and then complain about your fate. Like, you needed to go 1-1 in those games, and you went 0-2 and you played no defense. And it might just be the price you pay. You got to take care of business. 1-1 was fine. You didn't even have to go 2-0. 1-1 in those first 2 games would have been just fine.
Completely. Yeah, no, I understand. We've been behind the 8 ball ever since week 2, and we're trying to catch back up. But that's the beauty of the bye week. We can sit here and talk about all these scenarios, how we can maybe get in and all that, but ultimately put ourselves in this position, right? But,
yeah, and that's the other reason USC was such a big deal, because it was the final big flashpoint that was going to determine, are you going to be in the mix and have a chance, or is this a death march through November with games nobody's going to care about? Like, so luckily they beat the rival. They saved the day. Your hopes are still alive and they're still in it.
That's right. Hey, John, that's all I got, man. I appreciate you having me on the show. Have a good weekend and go Irish.
Hey, thanks a lot, man. Have a good one. Take it easy now. Man, I can't be more clear with you guys. Going back to the LSU thing, I genuinely really like the LSU vibe and program and culture. I have no issue with them as a program whatsoever. It was the arrogant reaction of their median fans when they got Kelly, crapping on Notre Dame, crapping on anyone that said they were glad this would be good for Notre Dame, crapping on us all, saying, you're small-time football. Kelly was as good as you're going to get. I have a total program with the arrogance of their media and fans and the way they spoke to me. It's personal. I don't have a problem with the program. It has an awesome football culture. I have a specific axe to grind with all of those fans and media that thought they knew better, and they don't. Well, maybe they do. Maybe Kelly's got to win out and he can make the playoffs. So I'm going to hold judgment on that. But the second he gets that third loss and is eliminated, I'm dropping a bunch of content. So stay tuned. It's going to get ugly. All right, you guys. That's going to be it for the show. This was a fun one. This was a wild one. You never know what you're going to get. Thanks to Pat for jumping in with some of his knowledge. Everybody else that's in the mix. Really, really appreciate it. Really, really appreciate it. So enjoy the off weekend. Sit there with a beer or two, watch all these games, root for whoever needs to win or lose to help Notre Dame, and then dial it up for Brian Kelly versus A&M. And if they lose, come to this channel 1 minute after. Come here if they lose this game, you better stay tuned to my channel. I have multiple pieces of content coming out, and we're letting it unload. And if he wins, I will hold off because hope is still alive. But if they lose, I'm going hard. So thanks for the donations. Thanks for all the chats and everybody being here. Have a good weekend. Enjoy the football stress-free, guys. Love you.